If you're a fan of video games, then odds are that you've played a Mario game sometime in your life. Mario's possibly the most iconic video game franchise of all time, spanning dozens of quality video games in the past several decades, from iconic platformers such as the original Super Mario Bros. To the many spin-offs like Mario Kart or the RPG series. And who could forget Mario Tennis Ultra Smash? He's played a huge part in many of our childhoods and influenced the gaming landscape to what it is today. That brings me to the game that I'll be talking about today, the one that I feel is one of gaming's most important video games of all time, Super Mario 64. This was the first game I've ever beaten, so I hold it dear and close to my heart. Although it may not be the first of its kind, this game did help create and popularize many design conventions of this genre. It helped lay the foundation of 3D gaming during this era. I mean, Nintendo even used this game's engine to make games like The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time. This game was revolutionary during this time. People say that this game hasn't aged well. Well, newsflash, you've aged too. Doesn't feel great now, does it? Jokes aside, you cannot deny how much this game has impacted the industry. The game has been around for 25 years at this point. Does it still deserve the praise that it received? Is it still relevant and worth playing today? Well, let's start the game and find out, shall we? There are several different ways that you can play this game today. You can play it using the original hardware on the Nintendo 64, you can use emulation, the Virtual Console on the Wii U, or even through the Super Mario 3D All-Stars collection that released last fall. Although they're not developing more copies of this game, you can easily find physical versions out there in stores. Still though, it's not very consumer friendly that Nintendo decided to delist this collection on their digital storefronts. Regardless, this will be the version that I'll be playing for this video. Although this collection is pretty bare bones compared to what they actually could have done to improve on these games, I still found it pretty solid. I just wish Mario 64 was in widescreen, or maybe looked more modern or something. Oh well. This version of Mario 64 is different compared to the one you may have played in the original N64. This is known as the Shindo version. This was only released in Japan in 1997 at the time, but it made its way here in this collection. It's pretty much an updated version of its original release. It's really similar, but it came with a few bug fixes. For example, the backwards long jump glitch has been patched out. They added a few rumble capabilities too, and they changed a few voice lines. Back in the original version, whenever you threw Bowser around, Mario would say, and now it's changed to, bye-bye. These minuscule changes don't really impact the experience. It's still truly the Mario 64 as you remember it for the most part. As you start the game, you're greeted by Mario's face. I've always had a ton of fun making funny yet disturbing faces. You can even press the Z button and make this happen. And now I'm traumatized. Looks like I won't be sleeping tonight. We received a letter from Princess Peach. She invited us to her castle, stating that she baked a cake for Mario. And at this point, we get to control Mario. And I'm gonna say this right now, but I actually really love how he controls. Now let me make things clear, its controls here is not as polished as they are in future games like Super Mario Odyssey. If you haven't grown up with this game, then you'll probably have a hard time controlling him. The camera's just plain terrible, but to be fair, given the time when this was released, this is not surprising. 3D gaming was at its infancy. Camera controls and 3D movement were really archaic here compared to modern games. But given the circumstances and technology they had at the time, this was still really revolutionary. We never played a game like this. We were so used to 2D graphics or the super effects chip that made 2D games look 3D. But now we're viewing games at a whole new dimension. I mean, sure, the graphics and controls do not hold up very well by today's standards. However, once you master them, or played the game for a considerable amount of time like I have, you may see this game in a different light. As soon as you enter the castle, you quickly see that something is off. Bowser had trapped Peach and the Toads inside the castle walls and stolen the Power Stars. You must find the Power Stars and use their power to open the sealed doors and rescue the princess. There are 120 stars in total, 70 of them are required to beat the game. There are 15 worlds, and each having 6 missions plus an extra star for getting 100 coins. Plus there are also 15 secret stars. Considering I'm a huge fan of collectathons, this structure stimulates me to no end. What I like about this game is that you can tackle these stars in basically any order you want. Take the first level Bob-omb Battlefield for example. You can get to the top of the mountain and fight King Bob-omb first. Or you can ground pound this peg to help set this chain chomp free. Maybe you feel like getting this star on this floating island, or collecting the 8 red coins. You can even try to aim for the 100 coins and try to get 2 stars in one go. This is not like Mario Sunshine or Galaxy. Most of these stars are not locked behind missions. You can pretty much get most of these stars in whatever order you want. This helps give the game more replay value if you're the type of person who tries to beat this game as fast as you can or try out different paths. There are exceptions though. such as racing Koopa the Quick or fighting King Bomb. They're only available in their respective mission. Though these exceptions are few and far between, the point is that most of these stars are optional. You can ignore 50 out of the 120 power stars if you only care about beating the game. The levels here are far more open. There can be multiple ways to get these stars. Like in Whomp's Fortress, for example, you're supposed to blast yourself into the star with a cannon, but you can easily get it with a well-timed wall jump. Or in Tall Tale Mountain, you can take this slide to get to the power star, or you can simply fall off from here. There are many opportunities to look for innovative ways to collect these power stars. That's what I like about this game compared to later entries. Games like Mario Galaxy tend to be more linear. You usually had to follow a predetermined path. And while that does help polish the level design and provide opportunities for interesting level gimmicks, ultimately it limits exploration and the player's ability to play the level however they want, in my eyes. That's not to say this game prevents you from performing fun tricks or exploits. I just feel like I'm in more control on what I want to do here in Mario 64. It feels like the game drops you in this vast world and says, yeah, do whatever you want, go wild. While the controls here are not as polished as the future titles, I feel like there's not as much shackles preventing me from what I want to do. Except for the camera. But hey, this was released in 1996, so I'll cut them some slack. Now let's get into the things that I dislike about this game. I've already mentioned how terrible the camera is. I mean seriously, it feels like someone is holding it through a fishing pole or something. Oh. While I do adore this game to death, I just can't help but complain about some of its design choices. Some of these power stars are really cryptic, such as finding secrets in some of these levels. You mean to tell me that I'm supposed to know that I'm supposed to push these specific blocks here or stand in certain spots with these awkward as hell camera angles in order for the star to appear? I mean, it's no problem for me now. I've memorized pretty much everything about this game. But for new players, I envision that there will be tons of confusion. I mean, there are signs and there are mission descriptions that can give you hints on where to go, but sometimes the way to obtain them are not so obvious. Fun fact, when I played this game when I was younger, I managed to collect 119 stars and I had no idea where the last one was. This was before I had the internet, so I was stumped. There was of course a hidden star, the one in Peach's slide. I didn't realize I have to complete it in less than 21 seconds for it to appear. I could be wrong on this, but does this game ever give you any hints about this specific star? I mean, there's probably a sign or a toad that may tell you about it, but I was really young when I first played this, so I barely knew how to read. Now, this may be an unpopular opinion, but I've never really been a fan of the various caps in this game. I feel like they've never really been used to their fullest extent. I mean, don't get me wrong, the wing cap is fun and all. I love soaring through the skies, but I feel like the uses of the rest of the caps are really situational. The concept is cool, seeing Mario turn metal to traverse dangerous terrain and invisible to go through objects is great. But they are mostly used just to collect more stars, so they don't really add much to the level design. They're just primarily used to get off stars you can't collect yet. Not to mention they don't last very long at all. I just wish they thought of a more creative ways to use them. The potential is there, but unfortunately they are held back by time and system limitations. Now for my least favorite part, the 100 coins. They can be a huge pain in the butt in some levels, especially in worlds like Hazy Maze Cave or Rainbow Ride. It's so easy to die there, and it just demoralizes you whenever you're messed up when you're so close. There are also levels such as Jolly Roger's Bay or Dire Docks where there's barely enough coins to collect the 100 coin star. If you mess up on not getting some of these coins, then you're screwed. Coupled with the fact that these coins won't appear unless you're really close to them makes these missions quite a chore. Also, you need to be careful when you collect your 100th coin, because if you collect it in an awkward spot, then good luck getting that star. Though fortunately, this is optional. You don't have to collect these stars to beat the game. However, if you're a completionist like me, then you may be in for a bad time. Despite all these flaws, I still can't deny how much of a great time I've had playing this throughout my life. There were so many memories that stuck with me while playing this throughout my childhood. I remember doing silly things like throwing King Bomb off the mountain, and this baby penguin too. Trying to run away from this one-up that keeps on following you and a bunch of other random stuff. Like many others, I freaked the hell out when I saw this creepy eel and this murderous piano in Big Boo's haunt. And am I the only one who was creeped out by these bubbas in Tiny Huge Island? I mean, you don't even see his eyes. Is he wearing sunglasses or something? Whenever he swallowed me whole, it terrified me. Ugh. I must have been a timid child. I don't know why stuff like this creeped me out when I was younger. Bowser, on the other hand, looks hilarious. I never found him terrifying in the slightest. I just sucked at trying to defeat him. Though it was really satisfying flinging him around into these bombs. These experiences I've had while playing this game growing up is something I'll never forget. I was also intrigued by all the mysteries surrounding this game as well, such as this weird statue in the courtyard. I never understood its purpose, can't really tell what it says, but fans theorize it says L is real 2401, indicating that Luigi was once planned to be playable in this game. Although it never came to fruition, it was still an interesting concept to think about. Interviews from Iwata and Miyamoto stated that the idea of co-op was on the table when developing this game. They even planned to end the levels with a flagpole like they did with the 2D games. Though it obviously never came to be, at least not until games like 3D Land or 3D World came along. I wondered how things would have changed if they went through with their original vision, though I'm glad we ended up with what we have today. Playing through this game was quite a journey, but it was a really fulfilling one. Despite some frustrations that I endured, I still enjoy fully completing this game. Exploring through all the worlds as fast as I can, while getting all of the power stars, was a blast. The reward itself isn't really worth it though. You'll gain the ability to use this cannon. Once you shoot yourself towards the roof of the castle, then you can actually encounter Yoshi. He thanks you for playing this game, and he rewards you with 100 lives and an improved triple jump. But at this point, that's basically useless since there's really nothing else to do here except explore and mess around in the levels. If only you can play as Yoshi himself. Well, I'll be damned. Super Mario 64 DS. Such a great yet divisive remake. It's really charming to see a 3D game remade for a handheld. They added a lot of new content here. The character models look much better, they added 30 more power stars here, along with some new courses, level design changes, bosses, and multiplayer. We also have multiple playable characters here too. We start the game playing as Yoshi and work our way up to rescue Mario, Luigi, and Wario for some reason. Sorry, Waluigi. They each play drastically different from one another. Yoshi can flutter jump and eat enemies, Luigi can jump really high, Wario can break certain blocks but has a really short jump, and Mario is still the same as the original. The caps used in this game works differently here. Each character has their own exclusive power-ups. Mario gets to keep his wing cap, but also receives a super mushroom and his balloon power-up from Super Mario World. Yoshi can breathe fire, Luigi will get the vanish cap, and Wario can use the metal cap. You can even find their respective caps in each level once you rescue them. You don't even have to backtrack to change characters, you can simply just pick up their caps so you can play as Luigi with Mario or something. This all sounds so great, so what's the catch? Well, the main detractor that drags down the experience of this game for many people is the controls. The original game had you play with a control stick, which quite frankly wasn't that good. I mean, I love the N64, but what is this monstrosity? But, as we all know, the DS doesn't have one, so they had to adjust. You have to rely on your D-pad and use the Y button to dash. Yes, a run button. Honestly, it felt weird when I first tried it, but you'll get used to it over time. You can also use stylus controls if you're a freak. Honestly, if I catch anyone playing it like this, I'll put you on my list. My main issue with this remake is that I find it harder to make correct inputs. I always felt in total control in the original, but I find myself struggling or messing up simple actions such as performing a side somersault. Playing this on a 3DS or a Wii U Virtual Console can make the experience feel more comfortable. However, you're still only limited to 8 directions instead of having full 360-degree movement. This remake does have a lot of good ideas though. I love seeing all these new changes. They even added Goombas from the original Paper Mario. I even love all the new quality of life features that makes the experience much more enjoyable. It breathes new life to an already amazing game. How can this game get any better? Minigames! Yes, you can unlock minigames in this game. You can find different colored rabbits in the hub world. If you manage to catch them, then you'll receive keys to unlock minigames in the rec room. And my goodness, these games are so addicting. There's a lot of cool references and fun games to choose from, like rolling this giant snowball, playing Bomb Squad, Wanted, Sword Explode, and my favorite, gambling with Luigi. Seriously, you won't believe how much time I've spent playing this. You can even play some random game like Loves Me. I'm heartbroken. And that's Mario 64. As dated as this game is, I feel the freedom and the feel of this game has never been recreated. This may be nostalgia talking, but I feel like no other Mario game, or any video game for that matter, feels as special as this game does. Although it's not everyone's favorite game, and it does not hold the best today, I feel like we have to thank this game for what it's done for the industry. It set the stage for 3D gaming and became the inspiration for many games over the past few decades. This game was one of the main reasons why I fell in love with gaming in the first place. I always find myself replaying this time and time again. I may prefer the immersion of the world of Super Mario Sunshine, or the beautiful biomes of the Galaxy series in Odyssey, but this game's simplicity and experience has never been replicated in my eyes. It feels like I'm home. Oh well, time for more Luigi poker. I think I have a gambling addiction.